Let's go straight to the US. Peter Mathews, Professor Peter Mathews, of course, a political science professor at Cypress College. Peter, these scenes at the White House, the South Lawn, if it wasn't true, you probably wouldn't believe it.
It's so unconscionable. I mean, he had a super spreader event just a week and a half ago, which infected so many of his staff members and other people, and including senators. And here he is doing it again with 2,000 people he's invited to the South Lawn in the same type of conditions, crowded, most many not wearing masks. I think he's adamant in putting forth some kind of a message that he doesn't want to change, that he's someone who believes in going out there and meeting with the people. But I think it's going to backfire on him. Many people are going to see through this and say, this is not responsible behavior, and it's quite dangerous.
And a lot of people are getting upset about the whole idea that he's taken his mask off and then not only done that, but gone down there and spoken to people who are clearly not social distancing in the crowd.
Yes, and it's again a repeat of what happened the past Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago. And you think he'd learn by now, and the people themselves should learn that they can actually catch this virus. It is deadly. And the examples of those who caught it who are in government, doesn't matter what level of life you're in, high level or medium level, you're going to get this. And the virus does not discriminate. So it's just unbelievable that he would do this. And I really think that some of the more middle of the road voters who used to support him are coming aboard to Biden because seeing this kind of unconscionable behavior. And I can give you some numbers on those states, by the way. It's the swing states are going in Biden's direction. There are 4 states, for example, Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, Trump won by about 1% of the vote on the average, and now Biden is ahead by between 4 and 7% in those 4 states. And that's an average of polls. It's the most accurate way of looking at it. It's not just one poll or another poll. It's an average of several polls over a period of a week, and Biden is ahead in those states. And then Trump cannot win without them. So I think those middle-of-the-road voters who have some kind of semblance of intelligence, so to speak, will not go for this kind of behavior.
There's well over 200,000 people, sadly, that have passed away in the US from COVID-19. That number could soar to anywhere near 400, 500,000, some people are saying. What is the general feel when they hear their president saying, do not fear this virus?
Well, it depends on the person listening to it. I mean, again, the hardcore supporters of his are going to get fired up and say, this man is got all this strength. He's not afraid of a virus. He's like us. We don't care. We can get ahead and do this and win this election regardless the way we have to. And the other people, like I said, that small percent that's significant in those swing states are turning off to this kind of argument. And they don't go for that. They know science. Many of them who did vote for him, I should say some of them who voted for him last time, did believe in science. They still do, some of them. The majority may not have. So you have to always look at that 5 or 10% that could swing and give Joe Biden and Kamala Harris the victory. And that's what he should be looking at.
Yeah, Trump also says he's planning to attend a big rally in Florida on Monday.
Yes, there again, he's not going to learn. He's going to keep going all the way till November the 3rd doing these things. And don't forget that he refused to debate Joe Biden in a virtual debate, which would have been fine because he could still get his ideas out to 73 million people. But he didn't want to do a virtual because he could scream and yell and override his opponent's voice like he did the first debate. So, and frankly, the people sponsoring the debate could actually take the mic away from him if it's on a virtual format. So that was something he didn't want to do, and he said, I'm not doing it. So let's see if he changes his mind, because 73 million people in the audience is something you don't just sneeze at.
What about the vice president's debate? I know it's a few days ago, but many think that it was like, in sporting parlance, a 16-all draw. There was no clear winner.
I guess some people would think that. I think overall, the two of them had different tactics and strategies. Senator Harris wanted to just stop Vice President Pence from just repeating the talking points from the White House and trying to repeat President Trump's points, which he did quite a bit, quite effectively in terms of being repetitious and refusing to back down. But Harris was able to confront him, and even on the personal level, say, Mr. Vice President, I am speaking. That was really something to show that here's a woman who won't be pushed around and by anyone. So that was, I think some people would say, actually the number of voters who actually saw the debate. There was a poll taken, it was by CNN. The poll showed that 59% of those people who viewed the debate said that Senator Harris had won, and 39% or so said that Vice President Pence had won. So it all depends who's watching, I suppose. But in general, I think the consensus in the United States that she held her own very well against the Vice President.
Well, let's scratch the surface of polling as much as we possibly can, because a lot of people watching this here in Australia and New Zealand look at it and say, well, this looks a lot like 2016. As you mentioned before, Donald Trump was behind Hillary Clinton, but he still got into the White House. What's different this time?
Well, the polling, the national polling shows that Biden has consistently kept a lead of about between 7 and 10 points nationwide. But again, it's state by state. And even in the swing states, the margin of difference that Biden is ahead of Trump in those 4 states I mentioned is larger than Hillary Clinton, because she went down to about a 2% margin of difference. And here's Biden at 4 to 7% margin consistently in those swing states. So that's what's different to some extent. Now, the pollsters adjusted their polling technique, we've heard. Most of them adjusted it by considering more people who would vote for President Trump but wouldn't say to them they would vote. The hidden Trump voters are being accounted for in these new polls. Again, if I were Democrats, I wouldn't just assume that they're going to win or that Biden's going to win just like that. There's still that danger. One more thing that's good for President Trump is that his voters are more enthusiastic. It's about 68% of his voters say that they are strongly support him. And I think about less than that for Vice President Biden. 57% say that they strongly support him. And so that's very important, because when there's enthusiasm and strength of support, voters are more likely to turn out. Also, the larger number of people on the Biden side, on the Trump side, said they're voting for Trump, not against Biden. On the Biden side, the larger number said they were voting against Trump and not for Biden. That's also another factor you have to consider that could skew the result in the end and give us a surprise result, and possibly President Trump pulling it off. But he's also going against a lot of odds with the fact that he's got COVID now and is slowing him down. He only spoke, 17 minutes this time? 17 minutes? That's unheard of at his outdoor rallies.
He dropped the F word in a radio interview the other day.
Wow, I heard that. I could hardly believe it. He was talking to Rush Limbaugh, and he dropped the F word regarding Iran. And that's never been done by any president that we know, and certainly not on mass media. So I think that he's acting a little different than what he used to normally act when he's been treated with these steroids and other kinds of medicines that he needed to get him to at least be able to stand up and walk and go out and campaign. He's on several medications, and we don't know if that's affected him or not, but he's getting to be more assertive and aggressive, and even his language. So we have to be careful and find out how he's really doing. And I wish him well. I hope he recovers and becomes healthy again, and when he's able to campaign fairly in this election. So whoever wins actually has earned it, whichever side wins.
Yeah, the third debate to proceed on October 22. The second debate has been cancelled. Just finally, look, it is getting a little clearer, isn't it, without knowing the exact result, that Joe Biden is a roaring hot favourite. Even looking at betting, they've got him around $1.35 and $1.40. And I don't mind the odd little punt. Generally, the punters know.
I think that it's quite, the betting people are pulling for Biden and saying that he's going to win it. Then that's something to consider. It doesn't usually happen that easily, and that's remarkable. And I think they're probably right in looking at the polling right now. But again, we're over 3 weeks away, and anything could happen. You could have an October surprise, another October surprise. We've had a couple of them already. Something else could happen too. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, there seems to be
interesting on November 3rd. Yeah.
Professor, there seems to be a box with a bow on it out the front door every day when you talk about October surprises. It's quite extraordinary. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Tim. Take care.